How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Garcia, on Fireside Yankees. If you are new to the channel, make sure to drop that subscription below. Daily content, multiple videos, podcasts, and so much information about this awesome Yankee team and any updates regarding the trade deadline situations that we are intrigued by, of course. I'm really excited to see what happens in the coming weeks here. But today we wanted to discuss JP Sears, a guy that hasn't gotten that much attention, hasn't gotten that much love. Rookie lefty pitcher, has had a really nice start to his career at the top level, and I think that he could be kind of an impact player down the stretch, just helping to mitigate fatigue. He was called up today for the doubleheader against the Houston Astros, but the Yankees will be starting Jordan Montgomery and Domingo Germán, so he might be kind of like a supplemental option. Maybe if Germán gets batted around, they'll throw in JP Sears to kind of help smooth things over, but they wanted to get Germán that first action of the year. I'm actually interested to see how he performs against one of the better offenses in baseball. I think it might be maybe a bit too much of a intense game for him against Houston. They have a really good team. I hope they don't batter his confidence. I would like to see maybe go up, start his action against some lesser opponents, maybe to get his confidence up a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully he dominates and, just builds that confidence instead of gets it crushed. Before we dive into JP Sears and what he's done this season, Ryan, how do you do today, my friend?
I'm doing great. The Yankees start off a huge series against the team that has befuddled them in October. This is a team that Yankee fans have kind of grown either on or off the field because of just how damn good they are or because of the whole cheating scandal. But for me, at least, it's more so because of how damn good they are. And JP Sears is kind of an interesting spot here because, as you mentioned, this is a really good team, right? The Astros are really damn good. They hit really well. And Sears has been put in spot starts, long relief. We've seen him in a different variety of roles. But Sears is he's very unique. He throws the ball from a very low release point where it kind of shoots up if you talk about his fastball, and it gets a ton of run. It gets 12.7 inches of horizontal movement. That's very, very strong, especially for a fastball, a four-seamer particularly, because that's what it's classified as. It's a very unique pitch. I think it's one of those pitches that if he can start getting the velo up a little bit like it was in AAA and, kind of learn how to command with that high velo, he could be a guy who, giving max effort in relief appearances could be a really strong 1-2 inning guy. Not so sure I'm convinced of him as a starter just because the velocity is a little too low. And the Yankees have so many starters, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, with Germán coming back, it definitely kind of throws a wrench into the equation of JP Sears and how many innings he's ultimately going to be able to get. But like you said, that horizontal movement, that was something I was just writing about an hour ago, looking into JP Sears, his numbers, and really what makes him such a quality pitcher, really why he's been so good this year specifically. So he's only thrown 19 innings this season, has a 1.42 ERA, 6.63 strikeouts per nine. So he's not a big strikeout pitcher, but he does generate about 44% ground ball rate and a really, really nice 83.3% left on base rate. So he finds himself getting out of trouble quite often. In his most recent appearance, he gave up 2 earned runs over 3.2 innings, struck out 5 batters. So, when you're looking at him, like definitely not his best performance of the year, but he looked pretty solid. And just a couple of poor pitches, but otherwise was rather efficient. I like him a lot because of that low release point, because of the run he gets on his fastball. His fastball only really averages out at 93.7 miles an hour, 94 miles an hour. But I find it interesting is that it's his primary strikeout pitch. He has 10 strikeouts over 37 at-bats. And he has a 22.4% whiff rate and 22.2% put away rate, which is the highest of all of his primary pitches, which are fastball, slider, and changeup. But for a four-seam fastball, usually you're looking, what pitchers that don't have a good four-seam fastball, it usually just kind of goes straight like an arrow. I really like how, like you said, it kind of curves inward, or if you're a righty batter, it's kind of coming toward you with that horizontal movement of 12.7 inches. Which is, I think, about 34%, 37% better than the average pitcher in that regard. So he gets a lot of really good movement on that pitch. And in addition to that, he has a 97% active spin rate. So that's essentially a measurement used to kind of show you how spin is positively impacting the pitch, rather as like non-active spin rate, which would be like how the spin's not helping the pitch and its movement. So, looking at his spin rate, really good stuff there, 97%, getting a lot of horizontal movement from his four-seam fastball. And that's really why he's getting a lot of swing and misses, a lot of strikeouts with that pitch. But do you find it interesting how his fastball has kind of been utilized as that put-away pitch? Because normally you're looking at like change-up, sliders, and curveballs, like stuff to get guys to chase, but they're just like missing that fastball. It doesn't even have that high velocity.
Well, ultimately, I think for JP Sears, it's more so that he's trying to find what that strikeout pitch is for him. I feel like there's a lot of counts where he's two strikes or he's got a guy, 1-2, 2-2, and he's struggling to find that put away pitch, right? If you look at the whiff rate on his slider, it's 26%. But if you look at the put away percentage on that pitch, it's way lower. It's 14.3%, and he only has a 14.3% strikeout rate on that pitch. A little befuddling for a guy who's got great movement, who has gotten a decent amount of swings and misses, a lot called strikes too. For him not to be able to put away batters, I think that's more of an anomaly. I think that'll change over time. We saw against the Reds, he struck out 5 guys in less than 3 innings after really struggling to get a lot of strikeouts in other outings. So Sears is definitely someone trying to find that strikeout stuff because he had it in AAA, right? In AAA, I believe he has like a 30-something% strikeout rate. And major league level, it's under 20%. So for Sears, it's very much trying to find his footing, trying to figure out, what gets guys to chase. A lot of batters aren't chasing against JP Sears. They're laying off of his pitches, and that's not a great sign. But, as he gets more comfortable throwing pitches in the zone and becomes more aggressive in the zone, he can get guys to expand and swing at a changeup down and away or swing at more fastballs up and upstairs. That's a big time strikeout pitch for him. Or sliders down and in for righties or down and away for lefties. We'll start to see him blossom into more of just a guy who's, pitching to contact into a real dominant arm. I want to use a comparison for guys like Michael King. Like Michael King was not a guy who struck out a lot of dudes coming up. And he found his strikeout stuff in the bullpen. He found out what worked, what didn't work, gained some velo, and is now a dominant reliever. Marinaccio, for a little bit, was struggling with strikeouts, and he developed, the ability to get guys to expand the zone on his changeup. I think Sears is just a guy who just needs major league experience so he could figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, more experience and reps for JP Sears is ultimately going to help him. As a lefty, it's really interesting because he has that little bit of an advantage, kind of coming from a different arm angle, has that lower. He's only 26 years old, but we really haven't seen much of him, right? He's a rookie. So it's going to be interesting to see how they utilize him down the stretch. I'm curious how they split up those kind of spot filler roles with him and German. I wonder, like, how do they decide who's going to get that opportunity? Because I think Sears has kind of proved that he can kind of come in a tough situation, or whether it be like a spot start where like Luis Severino suddenly has a positive COVID test or like whatever it might be. I kind of like Sears being that guy. Like he's proved his worth. German, yes, he has a lot more experience and whatnot, but it's coming off a shoulder injury. I know they want to ramp him up a little bit, but how do you think the best way to utilize JP Sears here down the stretch and really get him most active, get the most value out of him? Do you think they kind of maybe use him as a bullpen arm in some spots, or do you think they're kind of utilizing him as a starter, or more or less like if you have German starting, you want JP Sears there as well? If he gets knocked out of the game early, you have a guy that can kind of go 3, 4, 5 innings. What do you think the best way is to utilize him down the stretch?
I think it would have to be in the bullpen because that's just the spot I think he could keep a roster spot the longest, right? If he's a good reliever and, Herman's starting, Herman's going to have to be pretty damn good to keep his roster spot if Sears pitches out the bullpen and does well, right? Because you're looking to acquire a starter. Luis Castillo's been thrown around a lot. Severino is going to be back and he's not going to be gone for too long. I believe it was they said he was going to be shut down for 2 weeks. We're already through 1 week of not having Luis Severino. Should mean it's probably another week, no throwing, and then 2 weeks to ramp up. So 3 weeks from now, we'll probably see Luis Severino back on the mound. Herman doesn't have much of an opportunity for him to prove that he should stick around. If you think about it from a rotation sense, if they get Luis Castillo, right, that's Herman's out of the rotation immediately. Sears, if he was in the rotation, if you switch Herman and Sears' spots, right, Sears is that guy who's the odd man, within 2 weeks, probably not on the roster. If Sears can prove something out of the bullpen, be a solid long relief guy, he can give himself a little bit of more life on that roster. Because remember, there are other guys coming back from injuries, whether it be Britton, still Severino as well. You don't know what fatigue could look like in the bullpen. Castro, I believe, is on the IL. He'll be out for a little bit. You don't know if the Yankees are going to get a reliever. You don't know what they're going to do. Sears just has more of a chance of sticking around if he's a reliever. And again, I want to see him get comfortable throwing hard in the zone as a reliever. I want to see him get comfortable. His first outing, he was sitting 95. And his velocity has declined since, and probably because he's throwing longer outings, so he wants to stay in the game longer and kind of preserve his arm. But, if you can give me 1-2 innings of 95 from that side with that vertical movement and that horizontal movement, as you mentioned, he's a unique pitcher. That could be so valuable to this team. And if you think about it from left-handed standpoint, it's Wandy Peralta, and then it's who, right? The lefties on this team, it's not like this team doesn't have great lefties. Chapman and Licky aren't horrible pitchers. I mean, Chapman might be a horrible pitcher, but it's not like Licky's killing it. It's not like he's lighting up the world he's not lighting the world on fire. Sears definitely has a chance here to be a valuable lefty on this team. And I think that's what coming out the bullpen, it just gives him a bigger chance or better opportunity for him to stick around. Whereas a starter, it's very much, 2-3 starts and then you're back down in the minors and you're not really contributing to the major league team.
Yeah, you're right. It really depends on what Cashman does at the deadline here, but having that lefty kind of long inning relief type of guy is very valuable for this team, especially as fatigue starts to kind of settle in here. They do have Ron Marinaccio coming back at some point. Obviously a righty, but he is a very valued piece to this bullpen at this point in time, having really just had a really fantastic rookie season. But JP Sears is similar. I really like how the Yankees have gotten so much value out of some of these youngsters, these rookies, these guys that none of us have seen at the professional level before, or at least at the top major league level. So the fact that they've gotten so much unbelievable value and production and efficiency out of them is just another testament to how great Matt Blake has been as this team's pitching coach. But guys, I'd love to hear your opinion below on JP Sears, what you think his role will be the rest of the campaign. Much love for the support. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.